Well, so much for sleeping tonight. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst ways to die in a video game.
Let's end this now.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we'll be counting down the most brutal and unpleasant methods of dying that we've seen in video games, whether it be an NPC or the player character. We're not necessarily looking at the most violent or gory, but rather we'll be gauging them on how unpleasant they would be to experience yourself. Number 10, beaten to death with your own limbs. Doom. When facing off against literal demons from hell, you need to expect that your possible impending, doom will be a little painful and unpleasant. No other monster makes dying scarier and more painful than the Revenant, and no, not Leonardo DiCaprio, who likes to make your death a little more personal. After beating you to the ground, it will proceed to rip your arm from its socket and then beat you over the head with it until you black out. We're sure that this is not only incredibly painful and humiliating, but it ensures that the last thing you see before you pass from this mortal coil is a demon holding your severed arm, and that's pretty bad. Number 9, impaled through the throat. Tomb Raider. In the wild, there are a lot of things that can easily kill you. Animals, falls, starvation, pointy sticks that impale you through the throat until you painfully bleed or choke to death. We can't imagine that being impaled feels good anywhere on the body, but there's just something extra grotesque about seeing Lara being throat stabbed and then watching her desperately try to free herself while dangling from her own trachea. It would not only be extremely unpleasant, but the rush of fear you would experience as you helplessly tried to free yourself would be indescribable. I think we'd take a bad fall over this any day. Number 8, Headcrab Haircut. Half-Life 2. Gotta be honest, these damn things still give us nightmares. A puny little tarantula would be nothing next to these guys, which are about the size of a pumpkin and can leap up to 10 feet in any direction, usually in the direction of your face. Once attached to someone's head, the head crab will burrow and chomp its way into the skull and brain, whereupon zombification can occur, which usually sees the host's limbs painfully stretch and their skin and muscle tissue slowly rip away. We assume that most of this occurs while the host is still conscious. The entire process is absolutely horrifying, and it makes a simple zombie bite seem much more preferable by comparison. Number 7, head drilled out. Turok series. Oh, poor dinosaur mutants. What did they ever do to anyone? Well, unfortunately for them, they can be the recipients of the cerebral bore, which is often considered to be one of the most gruesome weapons in gaming history. The weapon works by detecting brain scans, and when detected, it will lock onto the broadcasting head and begin to viciously and forcefully drill through the skull, expelling buckets of blood and head tissue along the way. If that wasn't grotesque enough, it also explodes upon reaching the center, finally decapitating and putting the victim out of its agonizing misery. Number 6, Embryo Chestburster. Resident Evil 2. What is clearly an homage to Alien, the Embryo Chestburster of Resident Evil 2 may not look as horrendous due to its aged graphics, but the implication is still terrifying. After an incompatible host is implanted with the G embryo, they begin to experience what could only be described as a very bad tummy ache, due to the creature literally eating out their internal organs before it violently rips its way through their stomachs and scurries away like a terrified mouse. It would be bad enough having your organs eaten and your chest ripped open while still conscious, but to watch a little creature scuttle away while covered in your blood and entrails, well, we can't think of a nicer final sight. Number 5, Inflate and Explode. Saints Row 4. Have you ever had a really bad sinus headache? One that makes it feel as if your head is ballooning and about to pop from the pressure? Well, multiply that by 1 billion pain points and you have the messy results of the Inflato Ray. This gun works by shooting a beam at someone's head, which makes their cranium balloon to extraordinary proportions before it pops from the pressure and spews biomatter all over the sidewalk. Not only would the act of having your head ballooning be extremely unpleasant to withstand, but it would also look pretty ridiculous as well. Hey, if our heads have to explode, can't they explode with a little bit of dignity? Number 4, Kiss from a Chainsaw. Gears of War series.
That's gotta hurt.
If there's one way we'd never want to go out, it would be via chainsaw. Unfortunately for those in the Gears of War universe, it seems to be a pretty common occurrence, as chainsaws literally come attached to most guns. If you utilize the chainsaw, it revs with a half-dead sputter before you take it to someone's flesh, whereupon it tears through their bodies like butter, sending gore and blood flying and leaving the recipients in literal pieces. The fact that a character screams in agony as the chainsaw slowly rips through their torso is equally haunting and disgusting. Hey, at least it's over within seconds. But what painful, horrid seconds those would be.
Are you kidding?
Number 3, eaten alive by rats, Dishonored. If there's one rodent that people seem to hate more than all others, it's rats. And even rat lovers have to admit that street plague-infested rats are straight up nasty. Now, imagine a whole swarm of those ganging up on you and slowly picking away at it and eating your flesh and muscle until nothing remains but bone. Sounds like a good way to go out, right? That's what can and often does happen to the people of Dishonored's harsh and dirty world, and we cringe every time we watch it. There's just something about all those little teeth and claws nibbling and tearing away. Ugh, I just don't want to think about it. Number 2, dissolved into goop, Mass Effect 2.
God, she's still alive.
Friggin' aliens and their freaky contraptions, right? One of the most horrifying and disgusting deaths we've ever seen in a video game has to be that of Kelly Chambers, who really gets the raw end of the deal when she is slowly dissolved into a gooey paste in order to make the human Reaper. First, the goo is poured and practically burned onto her flesh, causing immense amounts of pain, before it slowly dissolves her body, resulting in her literally melting into a puddle. Of course, you can save Kelly from this fate, but then another random stranger takes her place, and either way, the sight is just as bad.
Get them out of there! Hurry!
Number 1, Wishboned, Mortal Kombat. When you think of wishbones, you should think of comfy family dinners, but now we think of intestines and horrid screams of anguish. Thanks, Mortal Kombat. While we could have picked literally any fatality from the series, the worst has to be Make-A-Wish from Noob Saibot, which sees him making a copy of himself and using it to vertically tear his opponents in half by the legs. Everything about this just screams terrible, from the unbearable pain of having your legs pulled in different directions to staying conscious as it develops into your groin before ripping itself all the way up and splitting you in half. Anyone else hungry? Let's go to lunch.
Noob Saibot wins. Flawless victory. Fatality!
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.